Thinking back, I remember Detroit championship was very intense, 3 riders in it, and you said it wasn't a lot of fun. So now finally, are you able to enjoy the moment a little bit and maybe relax?
I would say my mindset has changed some for sure. If you talk about that point in the series, it's like all out war, you know, you're just doing what you can to win. And then at this point, I need to be smart with what I'm working with that 18-point lead. So things change for sure with 2 races to go, and I just need to be smart about it. And but at the same time, you gotta go there and ride normal. You just try to eliminate like the really unnecessary risk taking.
This is one of those weird situations because everyone thinks it's easy just to back it down and play it safe. But when you start trying to think that way, that's when sometimes things can get a little bit weird. So
yeah.
It's finding a balance, isn't it?
It is about balance, and really, we still have 2 races. So if Chase were to beat me, I wouldn't want him to let it be too big of a points chunk, you know, in my mind. So at the same time, it's not like this is the last round and I'm totally cruising around. So there's always a fine balance.
Looking back on the season as a whole, is there one moment that was like a down point for you, a bit of a dip in confidence, one moment that just sticks out as like, yeah, that wasn't a good period?
Yeah, that was Indianapolis. That was a race that I was just miserable at. I was struggling with the track all day, and then I was struggling with my neck, and it was like a goofy thing. I just, whatever I got, it just wasn't good. I was way off and pretty much got smoked the whole day. So that is the one race I look at. I'm like, I'd like to have that one back.
See, that surprises me because I'd think there's a reason for that. It was your neck. So I would think you would just be able to write it off in your mind and be like, yeah, that was bad, but there's a perfectly good reason, so yeah. I don't need to think about that.
Well, I guess it's just because you know you're giving points up to your competitors. Like those, like 9ths don't look good on the score sheet, or whatever it was, 8th, whatever the heck. It wasn't great.
And again, looking back on the season as a whole, now you've done almost a full Supercross season on the new bike. Was it harder to get adjusted to it as maybe you expected, or easier?
I would say it's about what I expected it to be. The transition to the new bike. You always think you can bolt everything on from the year before, and that's not the case. And it wasn't the case for us, but at the same time, we were able to develop it quick enough to win the first race. So that part was cool.
A question from someone that's not me but wants to know, do you think the new bike has more torque than the old bike?
More torque?
Yes.
I would, pure torque? It's hard to say. I'm not on the dyno, but all I know, the thing is really fast. My starts have been fantastic this year, the best they've ever been. So I would just say it feels good.
And last thing, going back to the beginning about you now being a little more relaxed. If this is your last Supercross season, we don't know that. It sucks in a way that it was such a dogfight for so long that you couldn't enjoy the moment a little more, I guess, or am I looking at that from a very weird perspective?
Even if I knew the position I was going, or where the end is, that's just the competitive environment. So it's just not going to be super enjoyable anyway when you're right there with those 2 guys. So I don't know. You can enjoy things a lot more, say if you have like a 20-point lead, you know, when you're at halfway through the series. But that wasn't the case this year.
First of all, we'll go in a different direction with this. A question I've asked Eli, and he actually answered it. What would you say is your biggest strength as a rider and your biggest weakness? In your opinion, nothing to do with what we think or anything.
Biggest strength for me is speed. I think that's pretty kind of obvious. I think my biggest weakness has just been not confidence, but I think putting those later stages of the races together, not so much just for me, but like listening to the outside media and people kind of saying the same things over and over kind of got to me middle of the season. So I got to kind of block that stuff out. I know I'm strong at the end of the races. I just got to go out there and do it. And I've been doing it the last couple. So kind of just clearing my head, I would say it would be the biggest weakness, just listening to the media too much.
Do you kind of go with the flow a little bit too much? Like if you have a bad session, does that get to you, or are you kind of good at brushing that stuff off?
No, I'm good at brushing stuff off. I'm usually good at turning stuff around when it's going not well. I usually am able to turn stuff around. So that's also a good thing. And yeah, it's tough. I mean, everyone has their weaknesses, and it's trying to strengthen those is kind of really the biggest thing. Everyone's going to have that one thing, but if you can minimize that, that's really the game plan.
I guess it's surprising for you to even say that that's your weakness, because I think, and maybe I'm wrong, I've always thought you're one of the most confident riders. You can see that every week by the way that you execute.
Yeah.
It's just other people who put you in that position, and that's a weird deal to be in.
Yeah, it's just listening. There's just too much outside influence, I think. Not that I listen to it, but it's hard to even go on your phone during the week. And not like when I'm out there riding, I don't listen to it, but I think it affects me more off the bike when I'm not riding and kind of during the week as far as like mood-wise. But as far as confidence, no, I have plenty of confidence riding. It's not an issue. It's just more during the week when I'm not riding, just listening to that stuff is not good.
Going back to the start of the season, how different does your bike look now versus Anaheim 1? Like, have you made drastic changes since then?
I wouldn't say it's huge changes. I'm still on the BFR, same linkage ratio. We have a little bit of a different front end. My bike's pretty stretched out compared to what it was at the beginning of the season, but it's not huge differences with the suspension, just little tweaks here and there, and just kind of progressing the same stuff I've had.
Last thing, you say outside people, like affecting your mindset. Is that the Sexton ship? Like, is that a problem? Do we need to stop that?
No, the ship's good. We're sailing.
Because I got concerned then that maybe that's me.
No, it's not even like that like I said, it doesn't affect me riding. It's more like just during the week, like I can't even go on my phone without seeing this stuff. So it's just more annoying, really, and I shouldn't let it bother me at all.
Well, you should probably just follow me, because...
Yeah, honestly, because you're always positive. That's good.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said the bad stuff, so do that.
No. But yeah, I would say that's one thing I got to work on. I do use it as motivation, but sometimes it makes me a little bit too angry.
Obviously, we've interviewed you a ton lately, so we don't need to go over the same old. But building on something you said last week, you mentioned that you're in a much better place at this point in the season because you found a program that works for you, both at the races and midweek. So what does that mean?
I just have by that I mean I feel like all Supercross season I've kind of stuck to the same routine, and I was of course adjusting things at time, because certain weeks you feel better than others and stuff, but I've just been able to do some consistent work. And same when it comes to racing, I've luckily done every single lap so far and a bunch of starts, and I just feel like I'm a lot more locked in on my starts and everything. And I think my racing craft throughout the whole season is something that I had to kind of grasp on, like just from the past years, like always stopping halfway through the season, whatever, doesn't help you, So I've been able to be pretty consistent, and I think overall that's my biggest, that's the biggest bonus for me right now, is to every single lap, every single race, and just keep building.
Is it sometimes a case of maybe doing less is better and you have to be mentally okay with that?
Yeah, and it's not always more or less, it's just different type of stuff, and whatever works for you, things you can adjust on the fly a little bit too, but everybody kind of has I feel like back in the day I was just able to really grind certain stuff out a little bit better. Now I kind of pick my battles a little bit, and I've learned to just focus on putting all my my power into the weekend.
Slightly different topic. I feel like people forget that you're not American. You were in GPs once upon a time. Obviously Hurling's hit 101 last weekend, and that could have been you. You were on track to break records and be one of the greatest MXGP riders of all time. So when you made that decision to come here, was it difficult to almost turn your back on a very good situation that was setting up in front of you?
I mean, yeah, if I would have stayed back in GPs, I think things could have looked a lot different. But I don't know, I was always meant to come to the US, so obviously it's hard when you kind of split your time like that to really grasp onto like records and stuff like that. Of course, I had the opportunity to get a lot of championships and Supercross wins, but obviously along the road there's always curveballs being thrown at you. So if I would have stayed back in Europe, yeah, that could have been me. Have a lot of had a lot of GP wins and a couple more titles, and I was comfortable over there and had a really good routine going. But then of course mixing it up, coming over here to the US, it's kind of like you had to restart a little bit.
In those early days, was there ever a moment where you regretted your decision a little bit? You were wondering, like, what have I done? Like, was there one of those shaky moments?
No. I was meant to be here, so whatever, I would do the decisions that I've made over and over.
I was meant to be here too. Last thing, it sounds like now you're leaning towards World Supercross. Obviously, you were meant to do Nationals. Where are we at with that situation?
We're just gonna have to keep you guys guessing, just like how I did in the off season. We have a plan in place, and right now I need to focus on these last couple of rounds. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, and yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see.
You're happy with the plan, though. That's most important.
Yeah, I'm happy with the plan that me, the team, and everybody in my corner does. I mean, in the end, I'm the one that steers the ship. I don't want to do anything that I'm not into. So.
First of all, last week was big. It was a big result, but more than anything, I can imagine that was just a big weight off your shoulders, a big confidence booster,
Yeah.
reassurance. Like, screw the actual on-track stuff. I'd imagine
Yeah.
once you got back to the truck, that was just what you needed.
Yeah, no, it was nice. I feel like we've been needing something for a while. Kind of been striking out a little bit on some stuff. We're kind of going back to the drawing board a lot in between the races and coming up with a new setup pretty much every weekend, and just trying to throw something at the board until it stuck. So last weekend was a good step in the right direction, and it's unfortunate, some guys that got injured and hurt or whatever, but that's the highs and lows of the sport. So we're still at it though. I mean, this week we did some more testing, trying to get the bike a little bit more comfy for me, but I'm excited for these last 2 rounds, man. It's going to be dirt looks, dramatically better than it did before. Like, I hope it stays that way, but it looks quite a bit better. So I'm excited for here in Salt Lake and this thing strong.
Did you make some sort of breakthrough before Nashville that meant that the good result wasn't a surprise, or what did it kind of come as a bit of a shock?
Yes and no. We did quite a bit of big testing before Nashville, and we found some stuff I thought was pretty significant that we hadn't had before. So that was a big positive for us. It gave me a lot more confidence with everything. So that was a positive. And like I said, we did that again this week and keep just kind of making some gains. It sucks there's 2 races left, but that's the way it goes. I got on this bike a little late from the get-go, so just behind the 8 ball on trying to get comfy with some stuff. But I feel like we're getting there. So we'll have fun these last 2 rounds, and hopefully it goes good.
I think you'll be a good guy to answer this question. From your perspective, what do you think your biggest strength is and your biggest weakness?
Ooh, biggest strength and weakness. That's a good one. Biggest strength, I think, is just, putting my head down and going to work. And if I need to do that, and whether that's bike setup or just myself physically, I'm not really scared to do that, and I want to do that. Weakness is, I was off racing for a long time. Getting the racing legs back underneath me and just the intensity and, trying to be in the fight, that was something that took a little bit longer than I wanted to. But that's, I think, the way it goes. So something we've been working on, trying to get a little bit better at during the week. But we're trying to put it all together slowly.
Obviously, Supercross is coming to an end.
Yep.
I don't know if your plans are confirmed, but I hear that you're going to World Supercross in some form. It's confusing what I'm hearing, but I believe you're definitely going to World Supercross?
That looks like the direction, yeah. We haven't had anything set in stone with anything. I wanted to, in a lot of ways, I'm a traditionalist, and I wanted to stay here and race outdoors and do all that stuff, but just wasn't in the cards. There's not anything that would, I think, be worth it to do. So that kind of points us that direction. I can make some good money, and that seems like a pretty cool event to do, the whole world thing. So I hope we can get that done, and might see me there.
This isn't like you're turning your back on pro motocross forever then. Like, if I told you that from now on you're Supercross and World Supercross, you'd be bummed. Like, you want another shot outdoors at some point.
I would like to on a 450. I've never raced outdoors on a 450, and I feel like I could do that well. But at the end of the day, we do this to make money and to go race, and if that's my opportunity to go do it, then that's what I'll do. So we'll see next year. A lot of things change, a lot of things happen, but hopefully we can find a home next year, and wherever that means, going world or motocross, supercross, whatever that is, I'll be happy. So just make that happen.